This is going to be your guide to using Pecharunt in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Thank you for these stats, Game Freak. I'm sure that everyone in the player base wants to play against a Pokemon that has 160 defense with above average hit points and then overall durability that doesn't have to compromise anywhere. And man, like the design. So we have a mythical Pokemon, which means good riddance. I'm not going to see this in my battles because it's restricted, and people that play with restricted Pokemon are weirdos. But as it stands, we also have like really weird design on the stats because Game Freak in their modern Pokemon design. So instead of being a mythical Pokemon as like 100s across the board, we took 12 off and then we pumped into defense. And like that is just ridiculous. We also have an ability that's pretty interesting. This Pokemon poisons or badly poisons a target. The target also becomes confused. So, confusion. Game Freak, like, why Game Freak? I would be less upset if Game Freak didn't make nonsensical, contradictory decisions. So, okay, tank Pokemon are bad, Toxic Stalling is bad, Toxic got removed from, like, all the Pokemon, Scald Burn was OP, but then, oh wait, no, it's not, and now Pokemon get it, and Suicune's Grocoon again. Balanced, great, I love it. Pokemon just plays so well competitively right now. So all these things like Game Freak, stalling bad, tanks bad, let's make Pecharunt. Also, let's nerf confusion from 50% to 30%, even though it wasn't really being abused. It was a niche strategy. It's a coin flip anyways, and now it's a completely useless status that no one ever goes for because 30% is unreliable, and most of the time it will wear off before anyone even hits themselves once in confusion. So more RNG is good. So like poison stalling plus a useless effect. Also, actually, yeah, that's even the thing. Like, this isn't an ability that inflicts poison or augments poison or do anything like that. Its only ability is to sometimes make the opponent confused for free, which some moves kind of do anyway. So, like, that's not an ability. However, on a tanky Pokemon, and you only get to do it once. Like, you poison the Pokemon, and then you can't status it again. So, you get a free confusion once. This is like Lamora. Lamora's non-existent ability that doesn't matter 99% of the time. Signature move, also a weird one. Malignant Chain. Okay, we have lore for the toxic legendaries from the Teal mask, but then 100 power. Alright, power creep, but it's 88 special attack and signature move, so it's not like anything else is going to get this and be like, yeah, 120 special attacker with a 100 poison move. No, so this just kind of like offsets the low offensive stat, and then a 50% chance to badly poison the target. So a 50% chance to activate our 30% chance ability. This stuff doesn't make sense. What really matters about Pecharunt is the stats and moves, because the stats are busted. An 88-88, especially if you're going like max hit points, max special defense, that is a tank. That is a 3-hit KO Pokemon. It gets recover. I think when I was going over the data mine, and I was looking at Pecharunt. Also, I was looking at all the new Pokemon, so I didn't have a lot of time to really get an idea on how to use that. If I'm like reviewing the data mine, I'm mostly just kind of like, yeah, this looks either immediately busted or immediately useless, and it's not always going to be accurate. And that's what these how to use guides are for. Like, comment, subscribe for the best Pokemon moveset guides in competitive strategy and just overall best Pokemon content. I go into the deeper dive, but when you think about it, yeah, 160-88 recover is always busted. It doesn't matter. Like, this could be 0 special defense. This Pokemon could have an ability that makes it get one shot by special attacks, and then 88-160 with recover is still really strong. So you can play around it, but also this now it's just stupid with what you can do here. Recover is what makes the moveset. But when I was going over the data mine, I said, it looks like it doesn't get enough. It doesn't have any cool things. And I was mostly just disappointed in that. Like, you can't do anything tricky with this mythical Pokemon. You're just the most disgusting toxic stalling Pokemon. You have Nightshade, so you have consistent damage on Pokemon that are immune to toxic. Other than that, you toxic. And then protect leftovers recover on maybe the tankiest toxic user? Let's find out. So, search by toxic. Search by hit points. Tropicos doesn't count. Eternatus doesn't count. Clodsire, 130-60. So we're just way more tanky defensively, more special defense, and then Unaware Clodsire is pretty good. So that Toxic Stall is pretty good, and then you just Tera off of it. Hit points, Amoonguss, 114, 70, 80. So like slightly more special defense on the Amoonguss. Also has that sustain but Amoonguss wants to Spore, so it doesn't really Toxic Stall. Mandibuzz might be one of the more traditional ones. So, like, it's mostly just that defense. Like, this thing will wall out any kind of physical Pokemon to just disgusting degrees. But then, like, max out hit points, max out special defense, it's still going to be really bulky. So, the most frustrating Toxic Stall Pokemon you've ever dealt with, that Pecharunt just does that. They can also Nightshade and then protect the leftovers. So if the Pokemon isn't a Poison or Steel-type Pokemon, you just lose. And you have no way of killing this thing unless, like, you set up super fast. But then it can still go wrong, because, like, the Protect with the Nightshade to speed it up, and you're going to need, like, even at +2, you can still get Recovered Stall. So you have to spend 2 turns going to +4 on, like, a Swords Dance or a Nasty Plot. Pecharunt still might survive that. Yeah, Pecharunt does survive that because you can't have specs with that damage. And then it's still going to, like, tag in a Nightshade and then Protect or Recover at some point. You might not make it. You might not be able to beat it out, no matter what. And you're confused. So that could also be it. Like, it just, all Pecharunt needs is 1 turn out of, like, 4 in confusion to just stack with everything else going on, and you lose the game. And if you take the most frustrating Toxic Stall Pokemon you've ever gone against, and then double its defense, that's also Pecharunt. Because, like, it's mostly, okay, some Pokemon are slightly better on the special defense in a degree that doesn't matter, or it's a Pokemon that wasn't investing in the special defense anyways, because Clodsire is going to go max hit points, max defense, so Pecharunt has more special maybe not more, but, like, the same special defense as a Clodsire because of the EV investment, and then just more defense. So, yeah, it ends up tankier overall because of the base stats. Great. And then it can do things. But that's it. Like, if the opponent has a Steel-type Pokemon, you have to switch out. If it has a Steel-type Pokemon with Sustain, you can't Nightshade it into oblivion. The Poison Ghost typing is interesting. Haven't seen Gengar in a while, but also Gengar, weak to quite a few things. However, for the Tera type, I'm not really sure where to go with it, because Tera Water used to be, like, the great, hey, any tank Pokemon, it can just go Tera Water and has excellent defensive matchups. And now Ogerpon comes in, and its grass typing is just too strong to open yourself up into a weakness like that, especially if you're pivoting off of Poison. So this thing actually does pretty good into Ogerpon, but Ogerpon's legal somehow, and Pecharunt, thank God, isn't. So there's just too many weird interactions to account for inside the game. Dark. You go Dark, Psychic Noise, except on Primarina. But that's the only Pokemon being used for Psychic Noise because it becomes a Water-type move and can't be immune by a typing because of the schizophrenic anti-setup Japanese meta. Dark is also nice so you don't get pranked or taunted. And then there's just, like, so many counter-weird interactions inside the game. But since you just, like, hard lose the Steel-type Pokemon, no Tera change is going to affect that. I don't even think, like, oh yeah, well, you go Tera Ground and then you go Tera Blast here. That's not a thing. We can also kind of just do the same thing where it's like you just always want to go max hit points. You always want to go max special defense. Putting 1 point of defense in here does not matter. So actually the speed creep might be where you want to go a bit more. So level 50 and then whatever you want to catch on, like, 88 into something. Is this a real thing where you get, like, 244, 244, 20? Maybe. And 88's also just naturally fast. Like, you outspeed everything that isn't invested or speed creeping, and then you're now just, like, every tank, you out-tank, and then you just beat in that regard, so that's really cool. When I'm running Pokemon like the Glamora, the common, like, speed tier I was trying to go to at level 50 is, I think, like, 114. So we're looking kind of similar here on, like, an 86, and then I just kind of, like, pumped in where it's like, yeah, actually, you kind of need to find this range because of all the weirdness inside the game. Pecharunt doesn't have to invest as much to get there, but yeah. Other things you could do, Acid Spray, Malignant Chain with the Recover, so you're not as reliant on Toxic Stalling. Also, Pecharunt, like, just loses to Golden Go, especially with that Ghost typing. Nightshade versus the Recover. Yeah, Golden Go can set up on it. Also, going into Garganasalt. Garganasalt just fissures you, so you don't have to worry about any of this nonsense. And that's just weird. Like, status has been just power crept out, so you need this much power creep to make it viable. But Game Freak has hated on status so much that they introduced 2 anti-status Pokemon that are also just way overtuned in Golden Go and Garganasalt. But then Garganasalt fell off, and now the game's just a complete mess. So having offensive autonomy is good, where it's like, yeah, you Acid Spray something once or twice, especially if it's trying to like Calm Mind or go for its own defensive setup, and then that Malignant Chain is going to clap. And if they're stalling, well, fine. Malignant Chain, chance to poison, chance to confuse, they hit themselves in confusion, maybe they get off like one more recover, but then they're poisoned, and then you hit them with another Malignant Chain, and then they just get KO'd. 100 power, 100 accurate move. Thanks, Game Freak. And then it also has an effect. Wow, that Ogre Pond Syndrome is insane. Foul play, just because it's like damage. You don't have to worry about anything in tight matchups. Just hit the opponent. If they're trying to like outstat you on a Swords Dance, maybe they feel bad about it. Maybe Malignant Chain, like first, confusion, foul play, you hit them, they hit themselves, and then it's just like a hard self KO. And then you need the recover. Also, Moringa Berry just sounds busted because you now have a Pokemon that's +1 here. So if they hit you with a special attack, you recover, you're at full health. Well, now you're an 88, 160, 160. You can't beat that. And then you can also just melt them and win. So instead of being the POWERCREEP stall Pokemon, you become the POWERCREEP anti-stall Pokemon. And maybe like something other than foul play works here somewhere, somehow. There can also be like some weird stuff where if you Destiny Bond, as a faster Pokemon, you can catch your opponent off guard if you're getting KO'd, and then you're like a 2-for-1 Pokemon, because you Toxic Stall the first thing, you just win right there. Destiny Bond comes in, and then you trade, and everything is looking awesome. If you're slower, it also means like, well, you put the Destiny Bond there, and then you're just challenging the opponent. If they have an Assault Vest, if they're already like choiced into something, they have to KO you, and then to trade into a strong one of their Pokemon, or they have to like bulk and just not attack you, but then you get a chance to recover, and that could be another turn of Toxic, which also could work here. I just think Protect Leftovers, as scummy of a strategy as it is, as terrible as it sounds, just protect Leftovers in singles. The stall is very powerful, especially on POWERCREEP, which is also why there's so much anti-stall in the game. But if they don't have it, you just win here. And that's the filthiest win, but a win's a win. I was about to say it's legal, except this Pokemon is not. And then we have Mean Look as another option. So that could go here instead of Protect, or that could go here instead of Destiny Bomb, where it's like you lock your opponent into just a completely losing situation. Kind of reminds me of like the Infinite Battle Clause thing that happened, where it's like, yeah, you actually just like block in a Pokemon that's no way of beating you, and then you just Infinity Stall them because you're that mean. But hey, they brought a Pokemon that loses to yours, so it's completely fair. And also that clause isn't even official, it's just like Smogon nonsense, which is extra funny. But that's what the Mean Look does. This Pokemon wins again in like anything that isn't a Steel type or a hyper offensive setup. So if you just catch like a middling Pokemon that's trying to play the game, they're not allowed to. And you can at least guarantee a 1-for-1. Also, with the Mean Look and the Toxic Stalling, that you just recover on a turn they're going down to Toxic. And now you are very healthy, especially with the Leftovers. So even if they like tag you for some hard damage, well, now you're at 80%, still a tank, and then the opponent brings in a new Pokemon, and you can rinse repeat them on the Mean Look, or at least get a 1-for-1 plus, where, well, now you Toxic them, their status, Poison Puppeteered, and then maybe get Nightshade in, so it's a 1-for-1 plus, or 2-for-1, or you just sweep because of the Mean Look, giving you kind of like that edge, and then you just have to counter like Steel and Poison type Pokemon. So yeah, this also doesn't work like into Poison types as well. So if you just bring like a hard team against that with some offensive ground, not even ground types, just like bulky with some Earthquake or Earth Power splashed in, deal with their Steel types, deal with their poisons, Pecharunt now ends the game as the nastiest Glasgow you've ever seen, or something like that. And maybe, depending on what you lose to, that's why you change your Tera type, and then you're good to go. So, hope you guys enjoy. Also, Tera Poison just works. Tera Fairy just works. Yeah, you're already losing a Steel type, so it doesn't make yourself worse to be any more vulnerable to it. So, there we go. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.